Akaswamaniti Namane Namacharya Padaya Nitai Kripapradaine Gaurakata Damadaya Nagaragramatarine Mukakaroti Vachalam Pangoram Gayate Girim Yatkripa Tamaham Mande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tatsat Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, my dear devotees, my dear African family, my obeisances. So happy to see you all again. So today we have gathered here today to meditate and study the teachings of Uddhava, a very special verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Uddhava is a very extraordinary devotee who sets the theme of devotional service for us. So let's study the verses and discuss a little bit. Jnanam param swatmarah prakasham pravocha kasmai bhagavan samagram api kshamam no grahanaya bhartar vadanjasa yadvrijinam tarema. This is verse number 18 of the 4th chapter of the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is Uddhava talking to the Lord, requesting something from the Lord. And can we have a volunteer to read the translation and the purport, please?
My Lord, kindly explain to us, if you think us competent to receive it, that transcendental knowledge which gives enlightenment about yourself and which you explained before to Brahmaji. Purport. A pure devotee like Uddhava has no material afflictions because he engages constantly in the transcendental love and service of the Lord. A devotee feels afflicted without the association of the Lord. Constant remembrance of the Lord's activities keeps the devotee alive, and therefore Uddhava requested that the Lord please enlighten him with the knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam as previously instructed to Brahmaji.
Thank you. Let's read verse number 19. Iti avedita hardaya mahyam sa bhagavan paraha adidesharavindaksha atmana paramam stitim. Okay. Would anybody like to read the Sanskrit verse? It's a beautiful verse.
Iti dvedita vidaya moyam sa bhagavan para adide sarava daksha atmana paramansitam stitim, sorry.
Anybody else? Vaishnavis? Okay, maybe I can read it one more time. Iti avedita hardaya mahyam sa bhagavan paraha adidesharavindaksha atmana paramam stitim. So the word by word translation of this verse, you can repeat the English if you like. Iti avedita, thus being prayed to by me. Hardaya, from the core of my heart. Like you may have heard the word hridaya, right? Hridaya, hardaya. Mahyam, unto me. Saha, he. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Paraha, supreme. Adidesha, instructed. Aravindaksha, the lotus-eyed. Atmanaha, of himself. Paramam, transcendental. Stitim, situation. Okay, can we have another volunteer to read the translation and the purport, please?
Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Yes.
you may go ahead.
When I thus expressed my heartfelt desires unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the lotus-eyed Lord instructed me about his transcendental situation. Purport. The words Paramam Stitim are significant in this verse. The Lord's transcendental situation was not even spoken of up to Brahma when the 4 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam 2:9, 33 to 36 were explained. This transcendental situation comprises his dealings with devotees engaged in transcendental loving service are exhibited at Dwaraka and Vrindavan. When the Lord explained his specific transcendental situation, it was meant for Uddhava only, and therefore Uddhava particularly said Mahyam unto me. Although the great sage Maitreya was also sitting there, such a transcendental situation is hardly understood by those whose devotion is mixed with speculative knowledge or fruitive activities. The Lord's activities in confidential loving are very rarely disclosed to the general devotees who are attracted by devotion mixed with knowledge and mysticism. Such activities are the inconceivable pastimes of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yes. Very important points Srila Prabhupada is bringing up here. Many times we see in the movies the love of Radha and Krishna being demonstrated in a speculative way, and the confidential love of Krishna is very rarely disclosed to general devotees. And that's why when all Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to establish how to love Krishna, he came in the form of a devotee to show that. So let's go over these verses, which is also known in Srimad Bhagavatam as the Chaturshloki Srimad Bhagavatam. So the Chaturshloki are the 4 verses, very crucial, very important verses that summarizes the essence of who is Krishna. What is Srimad Bhagavatam? It's called as the Chaturshloki, the 4 essential verses. So we'll read the translation. Can we have another volunteer to read all the 4 translations here on the screen? This is the 4 verses that Srila Prabhupada is referring to. Anybody?
Verse 33. Brahma, it is I, the personality of Godhead, who was existing before the creation, when there was nothing but myself. Nor was there the material nature, the cause of this creation. That which you see now is also I, the personality of Godhead. And after annihilation, what remains will also be I, the personality of Godhead. Text 34. Oh, Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without a relation to me, has no reality. Know it as my illusory energy, that a reflection which appears to be in darkness. Text 35. Oh, Brahma, please know that the universal elements enter into the cosmos and at the same time do not enter into the cosmos. Similarly, I myself also exist within everything created, and at the same time, I am outside of everything. Text 36, the last text of the Chaturshloki. A person who is searching after the supreme personality, a person who is searching after the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, must certainly search for it up to this, in all circumstances, in all space and time, and both directly and indirectly.
Jai, thank you very much. So, what we are studying here is the mood of Uddhava. See, when he first approaches the Lord, he's, one of the statement he makes here, he says, if you think us competent to receive it. So let us little bit take a meditation. Let's take our minds on this great devotee, Uddhava, upon who Krishna had shown his causeless mercy. So let me just share the screen of a little PowerPoint presentation that I've made for all of you today. And let's get into meditating and praying to Uddhava to be able to understand this consciousness with which he is able to relate to Krishna. So Uddhava, he was such a great devotee of Krishna that we can see that from the very beginning. And they were very young. You can actually see in this picture also. They even look similar. Uddhava had a similar complexion of Krishna. He would even wear the clothes of Krishna. He would wear the clothes that was discarded by Krishna. So he would even, not only that he looked like Krishna, but he would wear clothes of Krishna as well. So the consciousness is very, very strong. And it is also noted that Uddhava, he would come to see Krishna before Krishna woke up in the morning. So see here also you can see they had same complexion. He's wearing the old clothes of Krishna. You can see, right? In fact, everybody would think that is Krishna. So he looked very, very, very similar to Krishna as well. And it is said in the Gopi Gita, in the Hamsa Gita, also Uddhava Gita. So when Uddhava went to see the gopis in Vrindavan, and the gopis said that everything was similar to Krishna except one thing. Uddhava was always glorifying Krishna. He was always talking about Krishna. So it's one of the mood of Uddhava, that he was always thinking of Krishna. He was dressing like Krishna. He was so absorbed. So one thing I was saying is that when Uddhava would reach the palace of Krishna, Krishna was still sleeping. And then when Uddhava would leave the palace, Krishna would have gone to sleep. So Uddhava was that attached to Krishna, to being with Krishna, to learning from Krishna, etc. So today we will look a little bit into the, let me just go to the next, yeah. So I want to like a little bit touch upon why did, okay, let's go back a little bit into when Krishna left with Akrura. So this is a chariot where Krishna is leaving Vrindavan. He's going to Mathura in this chariot. So what happens is that when he leaves, all the gopis are devastated. And one of the gopis even writes that she is filling the puddles that were created when the chariot went through. There were holes that were created in the land, and they were huge holes because these chariots are very huge. So those puddles were flooded with the tears of the gopis. So the gopis were devastated when this chariot came and took Krishna away. And later on, Krishna, he sent Uddhava to console the gopis who were so miserable and they'd stopped living their lives in separation from Krishna. So the same very chariot, in the same very chariot that Krishna left Vrindavan, Uddhava came to Vrindavan to visit. So when the gopis saw this chariot, they immediately remembered that this is the chariot that took Krishna away. So one of their first thoughts were, oh, maybe Krishna is back. And then they saw Uddhava, who looked like Krishna. So they thought, oh, Krishna is back. And then immediately they figured out that, immediately they thought it's Krishna. But then very soon they figured out that it's not Krishna. And our acharyas described that Krishna sent Uddhava, and he had different purposes to send Uddhava to Vrindavan. So we will not touch on all the purposes. So couple of things. One point was that Krishna wanted to turn Uddhava, who was already a great devotee, Mahabhagavat devotee. And he was a jnani, great jnani. He was extremely knowledgeable, Uddhava was. So he wanted Uddhava to see the extent of love and devotion of the gopis. So his aim was to turn the jnani Uddhava into a bhakta, into a devotee. And when Uddhava came to Vrindavan, he came to convince the gopis about something. But when he left Vrindavan, he left with a convinced heart. So he actually came to do one purpose, and then he left with another huge purpose in his heart. And Krishna's aim was to help Uddhava to see the madness of the gopis and to understand how that is beyond all other knowledge. Now, we may also look into the aspect of how when Krishna sent Uddhava to Vrindavan, Uddhava had a desire to understand why is it that Krishna is so attached to the gopis? Why is it that Krishna is so attached to Srimati Radharani? And that question could not be answered by Krishna. He needed Uddhava to personally go and experience that bhakti in Vrindavan Dham, in Vrajdham. And Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he's saying how Uddhava does not have any material desires, completely free from material desires. So only when we're completely free of material desires does Krishna actually allow the mercy to completely flow through us. And there is Srimad Bhagavatam verse that describes this mood of a devotee. There are several verses, and one of the verses is spoken by Kunti Maharani. So she says that let calamities happen again and again so we can see you, Krishna. So that is the mood of Kunti Devi. And Srimad Bhagavatam also describes that in order for us to, what is that verse? I'm trying to remember the verse. The Sanskrit, it's not coming to me. So the difficulties, when we experience difficulties, there is the hand of Krishna in it. And he's trying to teach us something higher. So one of the, let's go a little bit back into the history. Okay, there is also Uddhava Gita, before getting into the history a little bit. There is Uddhava Gita. So Uddhava Gita is the, we can say the crux, the cream of the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. That's the most important teachings where Krishna has this conversation with Uddhava. Very, very beautiful. Krishna and Uddhava have very intimate exchanges. And Uddhava asks several questions. And one of my favorite sections in that 11th canto is when Uddhava asks Krishna, you're known as Apat Bandhava, you're known as Karuna Sagara, you're known as the one who saves the persons who are abandoned, you're known as the ocean of mercy and all that, Krishna, your name, all these things. But how could it be possible that with all these names, you abandoned the Pandavas who were tortured and abused by the evil-minded sons of Dhritarashtra? And there Krishna reveals his heart. Krishna reveals his heart and he says that, Uddhava, I was waiting for them. I was waiting for them to call me. I was waiting at the door. I don't impose myself upon anybody. Srimad Bhagavatam says that Krishna's mood is such that he doesn't impose himself on anybody. He always gives us a chance to choose him voluntarily. So he was waiting for Yudhishthir Maharaj to choose him voluntarily, to ask help from Krishna. So Krishna tells Uddhava, and as I was waiting, Yudhishthir did not call me. He was throwing the dice after the dice, and he lost his brothers. And when Arjuna and Bhima were lost, I was waiting that Bhima and Arjuna will call me. Even they didn't call me, Uddhava. So Krishna is revealing his emotions to Uddhava, which he didn't do with anybody. And in fact, Uddhava was so close, and that's the reason he sent him to Vrindavan, to experience that love, and to experience that emotional depth and the connection between the gopis and Krishna. So like that, Uddhava asks so many questions to Krishna in these verses of Uddhava Gita, which is also known as Hamsa Gita. Hamsa means swan. So this Gita means a song. Like Bhagavad Gita is a song of Krishna, is a song of God. So similarly, Uddhava Gita is this portion of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the essence to understand the emotion of Krishna. Okay, now a little bit going back into the history. So the Yadus, this is the family members of Krishna in Dwarka, they had a certain amount of pride, the sons and the grandsons of Krishna. So one day they went to all these rishis, all these renunciants, the hermits, the monks who were visiting Dwarka. And they, you can see this Samba. This is one of the boys. They dressed him up like a woman with the sari, and then they put a pillow or something, make the person look pregnant, and they all went and started teasing the rishis and asking the rishis, hey rishis, tell me, will she have a son or a daughter? Will it be a boy or a girl? And the rishis become very upset. They're very mystical. They have mystical vision, so they can see that this is a boy pretending to be a pregnant woman. And then they immediately curse and they say, oh, you want to know if it's a boy or a girl? It's going to be a iron piece of rod that will bring destruction to the whole Yadu dynasty, the whole Krishna's whole family, right? And these boys get very scared. And then they actually run to the elders of the family and they narrate the story, what just happened. What happened was, when we are arrogant, we make certain statements. we may say it out of fun, and then we forget that there are consequences. So in this childish manner, through the arrangement of Krishna, our acharyas explain that everything that has a beginning has an end. So Krishna had planned this planned in this way. So after this incident happens, the Yadus, they actually, okay, I have to, tell you what happens to that iron rod. Literally, the boy does give birth to an iron rod. And they all become very scared. Oh my God, this curse is really a serious thing. And then they are instructed to grind this iron rod into pieces. So they do grind it into pieces, but one little piece remains. And they just take the whole thing and throw it into the ocean. And then later on, the curse comes true. The Yadus, they fight amongst each other, with what? Anybody? Anybody has a guess? How did they fight? They fought each other with seaweeds. Seaweeds. They fought each other with the seaweeds and they killed each other. Again, by the arrangement of Krishna. Krishna had a purpose behind why all these Yadus were killed. So after this, this happened and the Yadus were killed, that little piece of the iron rod was thrown into the ocean and a fish ate it. And then a fisherman caught that fish and then he brought it to the palace. And then and then of course then the history, he get the how do you call the hunter? The hunter finds this piece of sharp wood, a piece of sharp iron, and he shoots it and thinking that it's a rabbit, because Krishna's lotus feet was looking like a rabbit from a distance. And so he hits Krishna's lotus feet with the point of that iron, and the arrow hits Krishna. And we can say the so-called demise of Krishna happens through this excuse. And Krishna leaves this. Krishne svadhamo pagate dharma jnanadhibhi saha kalau nashtam drisham mesha puranarko adhunodita. So when Krishna left this world, Jnana, which is knowledge, and Dharma, which is religiosity, both left along with Krishna. But Krishna, in the form, like a sun, in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam, which we have all assembled today to meditate and take mercy of, it rose like a sun in the sky to destroy this darkness of ignorance that we have all been cast upon. The Maya, the illusion of this material world, covers our vision, and then it covers our true identity. So Krishna, in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam, came to save the humanity. So one of the last instructions that Krishna gave to Uddhava, he told him, look, all the yadus are going to be destroyed and all this is, and he gave the instruction to Uddhava to leave everything and to go and take sannyas, to just abandon the material world. So there are many, many instances like this where the relational dynamics between Uddhava and Krishna are described, and it is said that the listeners, not only the speaker, the listeners also need to be qualified. Like Parikshit Maharaj was extremely qualified, and therefore Shukadeva Goswami was able to narrate this Srimad Bhagavatam. So similarly, we can all pray today to the lotus feet of Uddhava and seek for that purification of consciousness. So we can also one day become qualified to be able to hear about the glories of the pastimes of the Lord, his names, his forms, his pastimes, and find that absorption and understand the mood of Krishna. Because we cannot always remain in the child stage, right? I want this, I want that, feed me, give me this, Krishna. At one point, we also need to understand why Gauranga Mahaprabhu came, because he wanted to understand the love of Srimati Radharani. So at one point, we all must understand Lord Gauranga Mahaprabhu's mission and be part of this mission. Then we become grown-up, responsible children. Okay, then I want to speak about, this is a deity called Partha Sarathi. This is in Chennai, in south of India. Very special deity. It is said that when Arjuna was fighting the battle of Kurukshetra, Krishna was taking all the arrows. Krishna was taking all the arrows. So this particular deity in South India, you can actually see the deity full of holes in his body, with the holes from the arrows that have been pierced him. So this is a very special self-manifested deity of Partha Sarathi, which means the chariot driver. The chariot driver, who is the ultimate chariot driver, Krishna. He rode the chariot for Arjuna, and the Supreme Lord. Can you mute yourselves, please? Yeah, and in fact, Aishwarya just joined. She is from exactly the same state where Parthasarathi deity is. It's like an indication of the Lord. Aishwarya, have you been to see Parthasarathi? Of course you must have. Yes, she
Yes,
lives there,
Mataji.
same city.
I visited Parthasarathi temple like 2 months back.
Oh, Jai. So can you actually see the arrow marks on his body? You
Yes,
cannot.
Mataji. On not on the big deity, on the small Utsavar deity, we see that small markings are there on
Oh,
his
wow.
face, on his body, and all.
Wasn't this one of the deities that Brahmaji gave? Like one of the original deities like that. Yeah. There are a few deities in India, right? Yeah.
I'm not very sure about that, Mataji.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah, and is this Arjuna? I think there's Arjuna also, right? In the Parthasarathi temple, because Krishna was the chariot driver of Arjuna. So it's a very special temple. I've also visited long time ago. And this is the place. You see, this is the temple from outside. We can all visit in our minds. In Kali Yuga, by just thinking of a pious activity, a religious activity, you get the result. So let us all visit the Parthasarathi temple in Chennai, south of India, Tamil Nadu, and take the mercy of the Lord who became the chariot driver of Arjuna. So similarly, let us also invoke the Lord to take the reins of the chariot of our lives and to help us to win the battle within the internal Kurukshetra. So let's pray to Parthasarathi to relieve us from bondage of self and to help us to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. Okay, now So after this incident happened and Uddhava left and everything, there is one question, right? We are studying this verses in Srimad Bhagavatam, and I'll tell you this story that will relate to the difference between a devotee and a non-devotee. So Srila Prabhupada is talking about a mixed devotee, which I belong in that category. It's mixture. I definitely want Krishna Bhakti. I want to align to Krishna's will, but I also have these material desires and the material struggles. So there is a story, very beautiful story. Narad Muni, it comes in Mahabharata as well. Also Srimad Bhagavatam quotes that. So once when Narad Muni, do you know this? How many of you know the story of the cobbler and Narad Muni? Yeah, one of my favorite stories. And yeah, so basically, Narad Muni is he visits a cobbler, and the cobbler, he says, "Oh, where are you going?" He says, "I'm going to heaven. I'm going to spiritual world where the Lord resides." He says, "Oh, please ask the Lord, when will the day be when I will enter the spiritual world?" And Narad Muni says, "Okay, I will ask. No problem." And then there's another great devotee as well, very scholarly devotee. He says, "Where are you going, Narad Muni ji?" So Narad Muni says, "Oh, I'm going to visit the spiritual world." Oh, he says, "Oh, please ask the Lord, when will I make it to go back to Godhead?" So when Narad Muni visits, the Lord tells him, "Please tell these devotees that I was putting an elephant through the needle." Ha ha ha. You can see this. I like this image. And you can see the hand. It looks like the Sudarshan Chakra on the here, right? This is the Sudarshan Chakra, you can say. And the Lord is putting the elephant through the needle. And so Narad Muni says, "Oh, well, that's weird. Yeah, I'm going to go and tell them." Oh, also tell the cobbler that there is this tamarind tree. So when all the leaves of the tamarind tree falls down, that will be the day that he will go back to Godhead. And then so Narada Muni comes down, and then he tells the scholarly, the devotee, he says, "Oh, what was the Lord doing?" The devotee asks, and Narada Muni says, "Well, the Lord was just putting the elephant through the needle." And the devotee says, "Come on, I don't think you even went to the spiritual world. I think you went somewhere else. don't just, fake it. I don't believe you. How is it even possible to put an elephant through the needle? Cannot be possible." And then when he said, "By the way, your question, when are you going to go back to garden? When all these leaves will fall off the tamarind plant, then you'll go and say, come on, that's not possible. I am such a great devotee. I'll make it much, much sooner than that." Okay, Narada Muni went to the cobbler, and the cobbler said, "My dear Narada Muni," so he was very eager. Here, what's the answer to my question? And so then Narada Muni said, "Well, the Lord said that when all these leaves from this tamarind tree, which is, millions, when they all fall down, after that, you will go back to Godhead." And this cobbler became very excited, and he started jumping and dancing around. Hari, Hari Bol, Hari, Hari Bol. He was excited. "Oh my God, that's fantastic news." And Narad Muni said, "Wow, this is very interesting." And then he said, "By the way, your question about when you will go back to garden, when all the leaves from the tamarind tree falls off, and that one particular day, who knows in how many hundreds of years, tamarind tree lives a long time." And as soon as the cobbler heard this, he became even more ecstatic, and he started jumping and dancing. And then he said, "Oh, this is excellent news, right?" And then when when he asked, "What was the Lord doing?" So the cobbler asked, "What was the Lord doing?" And so the Narad Muni says, "He was putting the elephant through the needle." And then the devotee becomes very, very excited, even more excited than about the going back to Godhead. And he says, "Wow, this is amazing. Wow, the Lord is putting the elephant through the needle. This is so brilliant." And Narad Muni says, "Don't you have any sense of doubts? Are you not wondering how that's possible?" And then this cobbler says, oh, this is another quote. I'll come back to it in a second. So the cobbler says, when the Lord can put a whole tree inside a seed of a tamarind, why is it a big deal for him to put an elephant through the needle? See? That's called a devotee. That's called faith in the Lord. When we can connect everything, like Srila Prabhupada is saying, even in those Chatushloki verses, it is said that when you don't see everything in relation to Krishna, everything is useless. But when we see everything related to Krishna, time and space, how many years will it take me to go back to Godhead? Or what is the Lord doing? Nothing is impossible, right? Lord, what's the song? The Lord can move mountains, right? There is, and he did, from Bible, the miracles that have happened through the faith. And so even Jesus said that. Like, what did Jesus mean when he said it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for the rich man to get into heaven? And you are all devotees born in the culture of, you were raised as Christians, so you know better what Jesus meant by it. But what Srila Prabhupada meant by it is also that the difference between a devotee and a non-devotee is also very clear in the stories of from Bhagavad Gita, from Mahabharata, basics. So this is here we see the two important personalities. Duryodhan, he's sitting here at the head of Krishna. When he arrived, Krishna was sleeping, and he said, I don't want to sit at the feet, I will sit at the head. Then Arjuna very humbly is paying obeisances. He's standing at the feet of Krishna. So when Krishna woke up, naturally he saw Arjuna first. He didn't see Duryodhan first. So then when he asked, oh my dear, you are both family to me, how can I help you? And Duryodhan was very clear what he wanted. What did he want? He wanted to be the rich man, right? Going back here. He wants to be the rich man. He wanted the army of Krishna. That's what Jesus probably meant. He was quoting Duryodhan. So he wanted, Duryodhan wanted the energy of Krishna, the power of Krishna, the Shakti of Krishna, the army of Krishna precisely. And what did Arjuna want? He wanted Krishna. And Krishna said, yeah, wait a minute. I'm not going to pick a weapon. I'm not going to fight. I'm useless, right? Again, useful, useless. Let's redefine what is useful in our life, what is useless, what relation is useful, what relation is not useful. So for Arjuna, things were clear. He said, even if you don't pick a weapon, Krishna, I still want you. I don't want the army. I want you. And Duryodhan thought, oh my God, Arjuna is so stupid. How could he choose Krishna? Weaponless, weak. How can he choose Krishna? And Arjuna said, I have no regrets. I choose you any minute, any time. And similarly, ending the story with the positive thing, you know what happened to the cobbler? The minute that he became ecstatic that God was putting the elephant through the needle, all the leaves of the tamarind tree fell off. And immediately an airplane from Vaikuntha came down and immediately he got the ticket booked. In India, we have Tatkal ticket, quick ticket. When you don't book in advance, you can buy immediately. So premium business class ticket immediately. So that is the power of faith. So that is what happened to Arjuna as well. He chose Krishna and not the army of Krishna. Duryodhana chose the army of Krishna. And at the end, we all know what happened. What happened? What is Krishna's energy without Krishna? The Chaturshloki Bhagavatam has the answer. It is nothing. What are many, 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 many zeros? In Africa, in India, especially third world countries, everybody wants more zeros next to their salary amount, right? But imagine you have only lot of zeros and no number in front of it. That was the state of Duryodhana. He chose numbers. And sometimes we think that quantity is everything. How nicely I'm dressed, or how nicely I can sing, or how nicely I can give a class. Those things don't matter. What matters is, are we choosing Krishna? Just like Uddhava did. Every day, every second, every morning, every evening, he was choosing Krishna. So whether we are in difficulty, like maybe the Pandavas who were exiled unfairly, unjust things happened with them, but they were choosing Krishna, as we can see in this image here, Arjuna choosing Krishna. Or in happiness, when there are happy things happening, are we choosing Krishna? Are we doing it for the pleasure of the Lord? Then we are Janma Karma Chame Divyam Evam Yo Vetti Tattvata. The one who understands this truth, the one who understands this, that my life is life and death. Between that, if I choose Krishna, then my life is successful. If I choose the energy of Krishna, then it's a failure. But it's very difficult. That's why it's difficult to understand Krishna, because we are constantly every morning waking up and Krishna's energy, Krishna's energy. Most of the time I'm choosing Krishna's energy. It takes a lot to choose Krishna. So that's what is happening with us. So what is the conclusion of today's talk? The conclusion of today's talk is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. And that verse goes like this. We can sing this. Tava katamritam tapta jivanam kavibiriditam kalmasapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadatam Bhuvi Granati Ye Bhurida Jana Tava Katamritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibiriditam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadatam Bhuvi Granati Ye Bhurida Jana. It's a beautiful, beautiful verse that gives us the nectarian summary of today's meditation. Can we have a volunteer to poetically read the translation? Aishwarya, would you like to read?
Yes, Mataji. The nectar of your words and the description of your activities are like life and soul of those suffering in this material world. These narrations, transmitted by learned sages, eradicate one's sinful reactions and bestow good fortune upon whoever hears them. These narrations are broadcast all over the world and are filled with spiritual power. Certainly, those who spread the message of Godhead are most munificent.
Beautiful. Yeah, so the nectar, right? This is the Srimad Bhagavatam is like a mango which has no seed and no skin. Anywhere you eat, it's sweet. Nigama kalpatarur galitam phalam. So Srimad Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit of all Vedic knowledge. And what is Srimad Bhagavatam full of? It's nectarian words and descriptions of Krishna's activity, which is the life and soul of all of us who are suffering in this material world. And when it's transmitted by learned sages, all the tendency to commit sinful reactions, all the sinful reactions will immediately be eradicated. And these narrations are broadcast all over the world. Very, very powerful. And I'm so grateful to this Sangha where we meet together, do Srimad Bhagavatam. We have a ladies Sangha every day. We come together, study 20 minutes of Srimad Bhagavatam. Because by being in touch with that, the darkness, which is always lurking like a cloud on the mind, will be immediately dissipated. So it's very, very soothing to be in touch with Srimad Bhagavatam. Because when we are in touch with Srimad Bhagavatam, anything, any video you watch, you're taking association from that. So when we are associating with Srimad Bhagavatam, we are associating with Vyasadeva, we are associating with Parikshit Maharaj, we are associating with the great sages, we are associating with Krishna. So therefore the energy, the empowerment is there. I am insignificant, right? I am Tranadapi Sunichana. I'm just a blade of grass. I'm nothing else. But Krishna is significant. Vyasadeva is significant. Srila Prabhupada is significant. When I connect it with the parampara, when I connect it with the disciplic succession, when I connect it with Krishna, becomes extremely powerful. And then we can say, I am a powerful child of Krishna. I am an empowered soul meant to serve Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. That is the real essence of being a devotee. And what a non-devotee means me and mine. Nanu nannadu yamba narakadolage biddu. Naraka means hell. So it's a hell to think me, me, me. Okay, can we have another volunteer? Preeti Mataji, Pankaj Radha, if you're able to read, you can read this paragraph.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
King,
Krishna. Go ahead.
King Pratap Rudra recited this verse to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during Lord Jagannath's Rath Yatra festival. While the Lord was resting in a garden, King Pratap Rudra humbly entered and began massaging his legs and lotus feet. Then the king recited the 31st chapter of the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the songs of the gopis. The Chaitanya Charitamrita relates that when Lord Chaitanya heard this verse beginning Tava Kathamritam, he immediately arose in ecstatic love and embraced King Pratap Rudra. The incident is described in detail in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 14.4 to 18, and in his edition, Srila Prabhupada has given extensive commentary on it. Hare Krishna.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we actually live in Jagannath Puri, and there's the place where Pratapa Rudra Maharaj, he was a king, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a sannyasi would not sannyasa kricha mashanto nishta shanti parayanam shubhanga shanti dasrashta kumudak kuvaleshayah. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had taken the vow of sannyas, and he would not meet royal people and the kings. He was don't want to have. Why? You want to know why? You want to know why? Because of this quote. Because of Jesus Christ's quote. He says, right? It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into heaven. So, this is the teachings of great saints, whether it's Jesus Christ, whether it's Saint Francis, whether it was Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the idea of humility. Tranadapi sunichena taroreva sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. So to be humble like a blade of grass. There's a huge difference, my dear friends, between being humble and feeling insignificant and having low self-worth. Being humble is in the mood of sattvaguna, goodness, accepting that I have my limitations, but my significance is connected to Krishna. That's humility. And low self-worth means we bow our head to anybody who's around because we want the energy of Krishna. And then when we don't get the energy of Krishna, we become depressed. So that is low self-worth. So there's a big, it's like a sky and earth difference between low self-worth and humility. So this verse of Shikshashtakam, composed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the mood of a devotee, he says that not expect validation, acceptance, belonging from the people of this world. To not have those expectations, but to be humble like a blade of grass. So imagine this Pratap Rudra, he was an emperor, great king. And he really wanted to meet Lord Chaitanya. So that shows the difference, devotee, non-devotee. Sometimes as devotees, we want more and more. I mean, at least me. I have this entitlement. I want to skip the queue. I want to get the prasadam first. I want to be able to get the Mahaprasadam. All the all those human frailties overtake. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is impressed by Pratap Rudra, who took like a normal human being. He just went like a normal person. He went dressed in very simple clothes, and he went and massaged Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet. And what did he say? Tava katamritam tapta jivanam. So he started reciting these verses that touched Lord Chaitanya's heart. So this is the essence for today. If we think of Uddhava and his humility in approaching the gopis, he initially went there to console the gopis. Oh, but then he got converted into the club of the gopis. And then he came and asked all questions to Krishna. Hey, why did you do this? So that's the power of the devotee of Krishna. The devotee of Krishna is more powerful than Krishna himself. I saw this quote yesterday. When you love Krishna, devotees will love you. And if you love devotees, Krishna will love you. I'll repeat that. If you love Krishna, devotees will love you. And if you love devotees, Krishna will love you. So with that, I will end this talk today, and let's open this for any questions, any comments, any corrections.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for this beautiful sharing of Krishna Katha. And more especially, whatever you said you read or you heard yesterday, if you love Krishna, devotees will love you. If you love devotees, Krishna will love you. Very powerful. Dear devotees, please, if anyone may have questions, comments, realizations you may want to ask or share, please indicate by using the hand emoji, and you'll be asked to unmute. Is that the hand emoji or your physical hand? Hare Krishna. See, Mother, this blue boy, Krishna, of course, we know that nobody can understand Krishna. But because I'm a human being and I have an inquisitive mind, sometimes I'm asking, why did Krishna do this? Why Krishna didn't do this? And so I am asking, we read from the scriptures how the demigods and the demigoddesses, when they have to travel, they get onto their airplane, which flies without the machine. It does not make unnecessary crazy noise like ours do on this earth planet. It's so smooth and so swift, and it's nicely decorated, and it moves at much faster than the speed of their mind. These are the demigods, and Krishna is superior to these demigods. And I'm wondering, like one of the slides you were showing how Krishna, when Krishna was traveling from, I think, Vrindavan to Mathura, he was going on a chariot. How fast can a chariot go? And how beautiful and how decorative can you actually decorate a chariot? So my question is, why Krishna just accept whatever is available whenever he appears, and it does not use something better, higher, greater than what is being used at the time he appears? Because when Krishna was here, there were no automobiles like we do today. There were no aircrafts. So he was using whatever the people at the time were using. But he knows that there are things higher, better than that. I don't know if you get my question. Same as even Lord Chaitanya came, there were no megaphone, there were no microphone, and they would go on Harinam Sankirtan on the street, and they would be chanting at the top of their voices. But there are easier way to chanting and reaching so many people, which is microphone. I'm sitting here, I can just yell and everybody around me will hear. Krishna knows this technology, but he did not encourage it, he did not use it.
Okay, so this question is very interesting, very powerful, and it has three facets of answer. First of all, 5,000 years ago, even when Sutta Goswami would be speaking or Parikshit would be speaking, it is described that there were like 80,000 sages sitting and listening to Shukadeva Goswami. Now you may wonder, hey, without microphone, how is this possible? Because, my dear brother Sahadev Prabhu, this is Manda Sumanda Matayo Mandavagyahi Upadrita. This is Kali Yuga. Our senses are limited. If I'm calling out to you, if you're in my neighborhood, you cannot hear me. You need a microphone. But back then, the senses were very sharp. One person would be able to speak in such a way that the 80,000 people's hearing ability was so refined that they were able to hear Shukadeva Goswami, they were able to hear Sutta Goswami, even amidst thousands of people. So these are very important questions, which gives us not just a mystical dimension of reality, but also a historical and civilizational reality. Because in those times, people lived much, much longer. They lived hundreds of years. And they were very tall. No, they had a different ability than what today's 2024 people are sick at the age of 30. They're having no diseases that people would have at age 500 or something. So, and even diseases in itself was not that prominent in those times. So that's first level. Okay, first level is that we need to see time, place, and circumstance. In 5,000 years ago, what was, I mean, if you see Dwarka, it still exists. If you go under the ocean, the Dwarka is still there. So the technology was so good that what they built lasted. Nowadays, what is things, plastic and things, it'll break in few seconds. It's not really meant to last. Then the second aspect of reality and dimension of looking at the perspective is that Krishna always had a purpose. Yes, he was going with Akrura, he stops there, and then the whole Leela happens, right? And then there he delivers some sages. Even when he comes as Ramachandra, he delivers Ahalya, who's waiting there as a stone. So you may say, Arey, why Ramachandra had to wait so many years in the forest? But he delivered so many souls. So Krishna always has a purpose with which he does things. He never does. He is known as in Vishnu Sahasranam. Krishna has it is said that Krishna is one of the Krishna's names is that he never accomplishes one thing in one action. He accomplishes several things in one action. That is Krishna. So if you see every incarnation, you may say, hey, why Vamanadev? Why he had to come as a dwarf? Yeah, but he wanted to show that size doesn't matter. He can be a little boy, a little blue boy. He was not even blue as Vamanadev, but he took over the whole three worlds. So Krishna always does things with a purpose which is understood only by devotees. A non-devotee will always say, oh, they will see Krishna's limit. Duryodhan, oh, Krishna is not going to even pick up a weapon. He is useless for me. That's Duryodhan. Why he is not using technology? So, oh, Narayani Sena is here. I want technology. I want Wi-Fi. I don't want pen and paper. And you choose Wi-Fi and there will be no electricity, no internet. But you choose pen and paper, right? So it's like that. Technologically, by the way, then the third aspect of this then it completes and then we'll conclude. The third is that when Arjuna, during the time Arjuna was given an option to accept Yantra Vidya's technology. And Krishna said, don't do it. Don't do it. Say Wi-Fi or pen and paper. He said, don't choose Wi-Fi. Because you will waste your time scrolling. So the point is that Krishna, the Vrindavan Dham is all about nature. It's about reality, which is beyond what mind thinks as fast or slow, what mind perceives as enjoyable or not enjoyable. The Kali Yuga brains, we are so dull-minded in Kali Yuga. The Bhagavatam says, right? Manda sumanda matayo. We don't make good choices. So we may think, oh, I'm saving so much time, but we don't actually see how much time we are wasting. And Krishna, he's saving time and saving lives and saving humanity through the same thing. And let me also put the other conclusion perspective to this realm of how to see Krishna's functioning. When the time comes, Krishna will go in the chariot from Vrindavan to Mathura in slow motion. Da-da-da, play a slow motion music in your mind and you see Krishna going. And then when the time comes and Draupadi says, "Hey Govinda," and she lifts her arms and says, "Krishna, only you can save me," in a matter of seconds, he takes the form of the sari and profusely provides so much sari that this demon, Dushasan, could not even, he got exhausted pulling it. And I mean, what technology can even do that, right? Even AI can get tired of answering the same questions and it'll curse you at one point. But Krishna had the ability and he used that ability when the time came. And Lord Ramachandra, Supreme Personality of Godhead, is Akhilanda Koti Brahmanda Nayaka. He is the master of the entire unlimited universes. And he had to need monkeys to go and put the bridge. But even there, the miracle is the holy name of Sri Ram written on the stones could make these rocks float on the ocean. So Krishna simultaneously behaves like a human and creates a miracle. Why? Because that's his purpose in this world. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bharata. Abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam shrujamyaham. He comes again and again and again to re-establish religious principles and to destroy irreligiosity. And he protects the sadhus or the divine qualities in us, not only in our people, within us also there's Duryodhana and Arjun. There's the good dog and the bad dog. So Krishna will protect the good. So the angle, the perspective is that Krishna knows wisely, he knows how to use, we call it technology, but I would say mystic power. He knows when to use mystic power. When he took the little grain, I mean, those of you who don't know Mahabharata, I'm starting January 1st, like a special course on, I have prepared a summative study guide for Mahabharata basics for Western devotees like that, those who didn't grow up in Indian culture. So if you're interested, contact me and I'll send you the link. So there was another story where Durvasa Muni, very, very angry personality, was known to give curses. He was visiting the Pandavas, arranged by Duryodhan, had sent them so that they go to Pandavas and the Pandavas can get cursed. So when all the Pandavas had already eaten, Draupadi, after she eats, they had a pot called Akshaya Patra. Akshaya means unlimited. Patra means pot. So they had a pot which could produce unlimited food as long as Draupadi has not eaten. And if Draupadi also eats, the pot will stop functioning. So one particular day, Duryodhan sends Durvasa Muni to go and visit the Pandavas after they have all had their meal. And so they had all finished the meal. And then Durvasa Muni comes. And Yudhishthir Maharaj doesn't know what to do. He says, "Please go take bath and come." And then Draupadi says, "Krishna, hey Govinda, what to do now?" So Krishna comes and he says, "Oh, Sakhi, where is my food? Give me some food." And Draupadi says, "Please, Krishna, don't test me at this moment. All this Durvasa Muni with his thousands of disciples are waiting." And so what Krishna does, he takes the pot and he says, "Bring me the pot, just bring me the pot." So then Draupadi brings the pot. First of all, in the middle of the forest, Krishna arrives. So I don't know which airplane he uses. He doesn't even need an airplane. He just arrives there. And by the way, Krishna will not arrive in the fastest airplane, but he will land in the heart of a devotee which has melted with bhakti. Rupa Goswami says that the fish in the lotus feet of Krishna will swim in the heart of the devotee whose heart is melted, not in the person who's proud and strong. So when Draupadi called in humility, "Krishna, come, please help us," he came, another miracle. And there was actually not even one grain, half a grain stuck to the pot of the Akshaya Patra. So Krishna takes that half grain, he eats it. Simultaneously, as he takes that grain in his mouth, Durvasa Muni and all the disciples all have a big, huge burp. Because they are completely satisfied and they all run away because they're afraid if Yudhishthir Maharaj has a food prepared, then they cannot eat. So Krishna did use not just technology, but he used his super mystic powers only when it was really necessary and to uphold the truth, to uphold religiosity, and to bring faith in the hearts of the devotees whose hearts were either contaminated by the darkness of others like Duryodhana and Dushasan, or devotees like me who have darkness of character and habits and character deficiency, and I can ask Krishna to take away both the good and the bad. Means good things I've done, achievements, please take it, Krishna, it's yours. Bad qualities, please take it, Krishna. I don't want either of them. That was the mood that Prabhupada is talking about in this purport today. Does that help, Prabhu Sahadev?
So much, very, very, very much. But in answering my question, you did mention something which Shrimad Prabhu is asking for an elaboration, because you had said that Arjun was offered, and I think you answered it in while you were answering, but I'm going to read for you to try to answer. Hare Krishna, please, can you elaborate on the choice given to Arjun and Krishna saying no to technology, because you had said it that he was given the option of choosing a yantra.
Thank you.
And Krishna told him, no. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Varahacharya Prabhu, my obeisances. So thank you for the question. A very good question. I just heard, my husband was sharing with me that in Australia, they are planning to ban social media. Ban social media.
Yeah, I
And
heard.
yeah, so the point is that we can see the bad influence of technology in the world today. How many of you have children who are stuck to their phone all day? How many of you yourself struggle when the mind is not able to cope with this hyper communicative, what do you call it, vibration or hyper communicative energies, environment, thinking that we're saving time, so much time and energy and intelligence is wasted. People are wasting so much time on video games, social media. People go into depression, people commit suicide because they cannot have likes and subscribers and shares, and we can go on and on how technology is a demon. So Krishna told Arjuna to not accept yantra vidya because technology can be very devastating on weak minds. Even to Arjuna, if Krishna said, don't take it, what about me? What about the people who are struggling in Kali Yuga with our character deficiency? So technology can accentuate or highlight, increase, magnify the anarthas within us, and everything becomes very out of control. As we can see in the world today, we think that we're saving time, but people are wasting so much time. Before, when there was, just take pornography. Earlier, people in India would have to go to some ancient temple where there were carvings. That's what it was. And today, how much time is wasted? If somebody had to go and watch some erotic image, they had to go all the way to a temple to see it. And then even if you see the time, has time moved, then so many years ago, you had to go to a theater where they were showing that movie. And then it became, and now it's all in the fingertips, and how much it is causing havoc in the lives of people, in relationships and marriages, to children. So we can go on and on about the bad effects of technological advancement. In the name of advancement, we are only advancing the purpose of Kali. Kali's purpose is going to succeed. So we have to be very careful. It's like a gun or a bullet or a knife, sharp knife. We can use it in Krishna consciousness, but with great caution. Recently, there was a Bollywood actor. He had a gun in his house for his protection, but somehow he dropped that gun accidentally. It fell and he shot himself with that gun. so, so we have to be careful how to use things in Krishna's service without hurting ourselves, without harming ourselves, our children, our next generation. I think too late to talk about these things. It's already creating so much chaos. So Arjuna wisely listened to Krishna and did not accept yantra vidya.
Well, thank you so much. Shima Prabhu has his hand up, but I would like to just share this because we just read this from Srila Prabhupada's purport. That is the text 19. Srila Prabhupada, that is the last but one sentence in the purport. Srila Prabhupada also highlights the Lord's activities in confidential love are very rarely disclosed to the general devotees who are attracted by devotion mixed with knowledge and mysticism. So if we have mixed knowledge and mysticism of the Supreme Lord, then the super hidden facts, truths about the Lord may not be revealed to us. Shivara Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you very much enlivened hearing you, full of life, full of energy. Thank you very much. I love the answer you gave. Just one more thing, you know, I don't like quoting people. I don't like just quoting verbatim. I heard that Arjun, Krishna told Arjun to reject Yantra Vidya. Where, when, how, what exactly? You know, so this is what I mean by elaborate. On what instance is this? What was it exactly? Can you, if it's not too much to ask, can you please give us some details about that? Thank you.
So this is in the Mahabharata. So I don't remember exactly what chapter and all that, but basically, I mean, Krishna told Arjuna to reject so many things. Read Gita. So Yantra Vidya was like one of the tip of the iceberg of what to reject. Krishna told him to even reject Vedas at one point. He said, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. So I don't know the chapter or anything like that, but if you study the Mahabharata, you will find it there. In one of the classes, it's in a different language, it's not in English. So one of our Vaishnava gurus are giving class and he explains just that point. He doesn't go into the details, but he just speaks that. Somewhere else also. Kante Prabhu, my husband would know. It is in Prabhupada's books also about this Yantra Vidya, how Krishna advised Arjuna to not accept. I can't remember if it's Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam. I can ask Kantya Prabhu. So when he has been sick, so when he gives classes, yeah, he's been very, please pray for him.
We wish him a speedy recovery.
Thank you. Yeah, he would know.
Yeah.
He would know exactly because he's very references. Yeah. I heard him giving classes also talking about this.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. My Dandava to Kantiya Prabhu. Now I just remember. I'm sorry, Mata. Hare Krishna. Okay. I think there is a follow-up on some of the questions. Yes, so we have this problem, you know. Of course, we know that mixing siddhi, karma, karmic activity, and gyan with devotion is not recommended. But we are increasingly having a problem in West Africa where people are using, some of our devotees are using India and mystic paraphernalia, supposedly trying to attract people to Krishna consciousness, and they call it bridge preaching. And it's very much disturbing because the Christians have overdone things like this to the point that, you know, even the Christian pastors, they're condemning each other seriously about how they've watered down Christianity. And it's beginning to happen to us in Christian consciousness also. That our devotees are, you know, now, I mean, this is a good point. Krishna telling Arjuna to reject Yantra Vidya. So we have our devotees making publicities, selling different type of yantra, mystical water, mystical this, that, and all kind of stuff, giving another kind of image to Krishna consciousness. So can you please tell us, what risk we're running in doing this kind of things, that is deviating from the Bhakti process? Is this done in India? And at what level is this being done? That is a disturbing thing to us here. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. So this is a very relevant question. Today we can actually see that people are having different levels. We can call it anarthas. There are different levels of anarthas. And there are different levels that we choose the energy of Krishna. We don't want Krishna. We want the kingdom of God, but not God. We don't want God. God, please go empty the space for us. I want to enjoy your kingdom, but I don't want you. So there is that mentality. That's the mentality Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks a lot in his purports. So there are at least two, maybe three angles or answers to this question. In Gita, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna actually says that devotional service can be performed in the three modes. So we can perform devotional service in the Sattva Guna, which means following Guru Sadhu Shastra, sticking to the rules, following sadhana bhakti, being austere, being clean, being truthful, being genuine, all those qualities that Krishna speaks to Arjuna about. And then we can perform devotional service in the mode of passion. I am the leader here. You should listen to me. If you don't listen, you will not go back to Godhead. All the authoritative stunts. We try to play God. That's like trying to perform devotional. Say, hey, Krishna says this in Gita. Recently, one of my friends told me there's a devotee who's doing a project and he wanted this other devotee to come and work with this project. And this devotee was already engaged in another project. So he went and told, Guru Maharaj wants you to do this. Are you going to disobey the orders of your spiritual master? And this devotee was like, really? Guru Maharaj said that? Yeah, Guru Maharaj said this. And he went to Guru Maharaj and said, this devotee wants to switch services and come here. So complete manipulation, right? It's like in the mode of passion and ignorance, mixture of passion and ignorance. And when we talked to the devotee, he said, no, this is best for the person. So little bit I adjusted, even Krishna told Yudhishthir Maharaj to lie. Like, where you get all these ideas? So the Maya, the Maya in the mind tells us, hey, shortcut, let's go, this, I am right. So then this is basically illusion. We get trapped into this, right? The passion. And then there is tamas guna. So tamas guna, I don't know if, like, I know not only in Africa, in many other places also this happened. People selling oils and different mystical products, in the name of devotion and trying to trick people into it. That's like a little bit tamasic, but also some rajas guna, I think. Predominantly tamas guna, using the faith of people to trick them into getting something very cheap. Because one thing is the power and the position where people are like Hiranyakashipu. They want power. They want to be God. They want to play God. But this other thing is like very cheap. They get cheap tactics, cheap techniques, right? So devotional service can be performed in these modes, and the result will also be accordingly. No, not that we put a apple seed and then I'm not going to expect for a mango to grow. When I sow apple, I will get apple. So if I perform devotional service in the mode of tamas guna, I will attract a lot of misery. Because Krishna says when in tamas guna, it's miserable in the beginning because, how to lie, how to trick, how to cheat. It's miserable while doing it and it's miserable at the end. Passion, hey, I am the God here. Even a security guard sometimes says you're not allowed to go inside. He enjoys that power. Have you seen sometimes the security guard say, no, you're not allowed. So he's enjoying that power. So like that, Prabhupada concluded, just to give you the conclusion is that in this material world, we are all sick. ಭವರೋಗಮೋಚಕನೆ ಪವಮಾನರಾಯ ನಿನ್ನ ವರವನು ನಾನು ಮಾಧವ ಪ್ರಿಯನೇ. ಭವ ರೋಗ. Bhava means material. Roga means disease. So we are all inflicted with the COVID, eternal COVID, which is known as Bhava Roga. Always coughing. And that cough, some people will have very intensified, extreme cough, that blood and mucus may come out when they are coughing. And people get petrified. So those are the people with very evil mentalities, demoniac tendencies, high level of mafia thing. And then there are people who are coughing like this. So, trying to make some living by tricking and using devotional service for the sake. So as leaders, we look at the world and say different levels of disease is manifesting. And there are so many issues, even within ISKCON. Fight for power. Even Duryodhana and Arjuna were brothers. They fought for the kingdom, and now we fight for lands and for position and for the chair and for the name and all that, right? Sometimes even for service. I want to do service, and then we fight in the mode of tamas and rajas to get the service sometime. Maybe not in other countries so much. In India, it's like huge competition for service. Who washes Panchatattva pots? One day you don't show up, lose the service, and there's a lot of politics. Who washes the pots? It's like, so that's material world. That's the nature of material world. And Kali Yuga, the Maya Devi has made a promise that she will divide and conquer. Because if we are all together and we'll cooperate, we'll support each other. So she will plot to separate us. He thinks this, he's this guru's disciple, that, this. She will create division. Maya will create division. So with that division, we say this department is better, my service is better than yours, and all this discrimination we may create. My anartha is better than your anartha. Right? So it's pain. It's all pain. It's painful reality of Kali Yuga. And when we come into ISKCON, please expect that you are in the COVID ward, ICU. Everybody is dying. Everybody has some or another sort of, somebody has lung failure, somebody has liver failure, somebody else has heart attack. So it's a hospital. Prabhupada created a hospital to cure ourselves. So let's not come into the organization looking for healthy people. This is a hospital. Everybody's sick. So even doctors can get sick. Let me remind you of that. A lot of the COVID time, a lot of doctors died. A lot of doctors die. So gurus, we know from the history of ISKCON, big gurus, thousands of disciples and everything, and they fell down. They ran away with a disciple. They stole money, something very silly at the end of the day. So let's not be surprised. Prabhupada used to say that. Let's not be surprised with the people who leave. Let's be surprised with the people who stay. So instead of focusing on the failures of the organizations, let us also see the wins, the deity worship, all the good things that are there in the organization, because there are a lot of things that don't work. So I would say my mood has always been try to keep my side of the road clean. And in my mother tongue, they say, don't try to find a dead ant in your neighbor's plate when you have a dead donkey in yours. So I may look at somebody and say, hey, look, they have a dead ant in their plate. And then I don't see a dead rat, or rat is more realistic. The proverb says dead donkey, which means I may have a huge anartha, but then I may be looking at somebody else's ant and losing my sleep over it. So my mood has always been keep my side of the road clean, try to take care of my duties, see the positives. But we may have a duty. You may be in a position of leadership and you have to clean up the mess. Then it's a different discussion.
Well, Hare Krishna, thank you so much for the elaborate and detailed answer to Shivara Prabhu's concern. Actually, when you were reading the paper, Actually, you asked one devotee to read the paper, I think Purushottam, who read the paper. And I was following and I said, wow, wow, wow. And you've been, Mother, yourself, you've been to West Africa before. So Shivara Prabhu asked this question because it is a very serious problem going on there in West Africa. And of course, we cannot get into details because of the time limited we have here. But in African culture, I believe, just as in all cultures, there is this saying that good name is better than the riches. And we all belong to this ISKCON, which belongs to Srila Prabhupada. And he had established a way of living our lives. And if we claim that we are descendants of this great person, and people are buying our books and reading them, and therefore they know what we stand for. And when they see us behaving as if we are some crazy magicians coming from some cave, and meanwhile, whatever we even asking them to do, it's not even working. So it's painful. And the problem is that me sitting here, I can talk from morning till the following morning. Nothing will get changed, except those who are in the position to making things right. And if those people who are in the position of making things right are not willing to make it happen in a positive way, then it becomes a problem. So I would suggest that maybe we end this particular topic. And of course, your time is late. If devotees have another question, I think Shrimara Prabhu has something to ask. But like I was saying, I would suggest.
No. Thank you very much. I'm grateful for the answer. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much.
I mean, one word answer is leadership.
Yes, leadership. Leadership. In fact, one devotee just called me and asked me a question. This was just yesterday, whether ISKCON is opposed to mysticism. And I told him point blank, we are not opposed to mysticism, but it is not encouraged. And I tried to explain to him why it is not encouraged. And that is, I'm so happy and grateful. Krishna is so kind. What I said in my own little mind, my little understanding, is pretty much what you shared with us, because it's going to take away your devotion. You become so much absorbed in conjuring.
Yeah.
Keep things happen instead of, like we see, Uddhava shunned mysticism, and therefore Krishna was revealing everything to him. And he's giving him the love of God, which we are all fighting for. We are all struggling for love of God. We're not struggling for magical feats. And if someone wants to practice magical feats, then he should better find somewhere else to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. This is something else, this is our organization is meant to develop pure love for Krishna. And we should be, as you said, we should defend Prabhupada's movement by cleaning up, because we have to learn from our mistakes. Even in history, we did mistakes like this. They started from books, and then they started selling paintings. They started selling all kinds of things. There were a lot of that's why purity in leadership, purity in individuals' life is very important. Without that, it's very difficult to create. If leaders are not strong, it becomes difficult to inspire other people. And we need kshatriyas. We need leaders who are like Bhima.
Yeah.
Put things in order.
Govinda Prabhu, please, you may unmute. I believe this may be the last question so that our beloved speaker can attend Mangarati in the morning. Govinda Prabhu, please, unmute.
Okay, thank you very much, Sadi Prabhu. And thank you very, very much, Mataji. My respectful obeisances to you. Wonderful presentation. In the course of your answering to Sadi Prabhu's first question, you made mention of Sukadev Goswami speaking to about, say, 800,000.
This is 80,000 thereabout.
80,000 devotees.
Yeah.
And they had the ability to hear him because they have very sharp senses, sharp mind, so they can understand him from a distance. So that's where my question is. I guess that Krishna want us, we as the conditioned souls, to hear to a certain distance, so that otherwise, if our senses are that sharp, then we can hear others' conversations also. That whatever is going on, we can also, ascertain to that. We can hear. And so, just like there are so many things going on, so much, vibration is vibrating everywhere in the universe, but we are not permitted to hear those vibrations. And if you want to hear a particular vibration, then there should be a particular set of frequency. So there are so many noises going on, and so my question is: do they skip the noise and obey the voice? And if they skip the noise and obey the voice, how did they do that?
They didn't have social media. And I like that point. Did they obey they obeyed the energy of the Lord, and they had, the sharp senses is not just sharp senses in the external sense, but it's also the clarity of purpose. When you're focused, like there are people who run really fast and they go get into Guinness Book of World Records. I can also run, but it's not the same. So similarly, when there is a clarity of purpose, I want to, like you said about frequency, like a radio station, you put on 108 and then you tune into that frequency and you hear it. So also there is a frequency in consciousness. Like if you see people, sadhu sangha, right? Who do we associate with? Like in Mayapur, there are so many kinds of devotees. So some devotees like Kirtan. So all the Kirtaniyas hang out together. Some people like studying books and teaching Shastra. So they hang out together. So that's like frequencies. So these people, these sages were very qualified. By the way, I think it was Sutta Goswami. Sutta Goswami had 80,000 audience. So the frequency they would vibrate was they had no other preoccupations. They didn't worry about job. They didn't have other kinds of fears or concerns or social media or all the stuff. So their energy was one pointed in actually tuning to the Lord's pastimes, tuning to about the personality of God. And I'm sure even among the saints, there were those who were able to understand in a deeper way. Parikshit Maharaj, maybe, and he was not even a saint or sage, he was a king. And then there were others who may have struggled to understand. Like in a Bhagavatam class, some people understand more, some people understand less. So even among them, based on their consciousness, based on their purity, based on their ability, they would have also had their gradations of understanding. Very, very interesting, very thought-provoking these questions are.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Shri Govinda Prabhu, for your question, and Shri Mayati Radha Govinda Devi, thank you. But Mother, lots of devotees in West Africa, specifically Ghana, they're missing you so much. So there is a question in the chat room. Dandavat Pranam's mother, when again are we expecting you in Ghana? So that is your question.
I think it would be easier if you could visit Mayapur Dham. It would be more beneficial. Thank you very much, my dear devotees. Please accept my obeisances. Vancha kalpatarubhya. I mean, what more miracle do we want? Srila Prabhupada made all of us into devotees. More mysticism than that not doesn't exist, you know.
Well, Mother, sorry, before you leave, we have a ritual that we follow. The ritual is, dear devotees, we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute, and we all chant melodious or non-melodious Hare Krishna. That's our heartfelt I rebuke speaker Hare Krishna. Shri Radha Govinda Devi. Please, you may all unmute. Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare Rama,
Ram, 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 Hare Hare. Chakapatarubhya Pavitanam Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Grace Sri Radha Govinda Devi ki
Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Hare Bol. Jai.
Kartik month, today is Bhishma Panchak first day. So Bhishma Panchak ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Hare Bol.